and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the North American qualifiers. Earning a spot in Season 3 is guaranteed to be a life-changing experience. We spoke to the teams from Group A to find out exactly what it meant to them.
This is the most important tournament of our lives right now.
We definitely put on ourselves. We expect to get a spot here.
I feel it's like something I've been doing for a long time, and I think I deserve it.
Ever since I was a kid, I've always grew up and I just never knew what I wanted to do in my life. But now, just playing video games, there's this big opportunity. It definitely would mean the world to me.
If they're putting off other important things like school or work to do this and they want to make this happen, they have to make it right now.
A lot of us attend college, and it's really hard to balance both of them.
Hopefully, I'll make Season 3.
Even if I don't make it, I don't think I'd be happy in school right now. So if I don't make it, maybe I'll hit up the Challenger circuit, whatever.
Everything's at stake. This is like...
You basically become pro.
If you want it to happen, you have to grab it right now.
Yeah, and you just see exactly what it means to those guys. I mean, life-changing, like we mentioned. It means you basically got a job secured for a year.
And we were sitting in on some of those interviews, too, just to see how much those guys really care about it. I mean, all of them were super excited to be here. Everyone seemed to have their own kind of similar story of taking time off school, or this is what they wanted to do their entire life, or they couldn't believe that this is now an opportunity. And it was really awesome to just see all of them come in, because there's so many of these guys.
Yeah, and you're all talking about taking semesters out. Some were talking about, oh, they might be able to keep doing school if they qualified. I'm not sure about that.
It's a little tough.
That would be some hard work. And some of these guys are pretty damn brainy for sure, but I'm not too sure how that would work out for them. But coming into this, I mean, Jan, you obviously took the decision at one point to, okay, I'm going to do this. This is going to be my thing. You obviously joined Dignitas, and you became effectively a pro for about 7 months.
Yeah, the thing about that was, though, I wasn't doing school at the time.
Right.
I was actually working, and it was in a job that I didn't really like, so I'd left that. And the problem with that was I was one of the only people on the team that did that, right?
Yeah.
Because at the time, Voidboy was still in school, Scar was still in school, Lokesham and Cutie Pie were all in still school. Voidboy was in high school.
Yeah.
And it was just, you could tell the team didn't have enough oomph to practice, because during the summer, they were very strong because no one had the school. That's when we won, we had the practice carryover, we won IPL 3. And then after that, it started to fall off because the teams like CLG and like TSM, who had the gaming houses and who had taken the time off and had their revenue from streaming, were all surpassing all the other teams. And you can see even now with Dignitas being in Season 3, all those guys have taken the time off school because it's really necessary to put in that extra time.
And do you think that's going to benefit the teams? Obviously, we've got a lot of teams similar to that position in this. Do you think we're going to see one of those big upsets come through where, God forbid, a curse maybe doesn't make it through? And they're the ones with the most on the line in this tournament.
Yeah, we actually saw the Curse all on the line or something, lots on the line video that came out yesterday, and it's tough for them because Curse is a major sponsor, and if Curse wants a team in Season 3.
Everybody sees the Curse mention photos. I mean,
they said that in the video, and if Curse doesn't make it, then those guys are probably not on Curse anymore.
Well, they're living the dream right now.
Cutthroat.
But how would that affect their lives? And honestly, how would it affect the lives of maybe a team that, I don't know, like eHonda's boys that are coming into this from normals, which we're going to see later on in the day.
At the salad bar.
Yeah, I mean, that is a complete contrast to the life that Curse have right now.
Because you have guys like St. Vicious, who are on CLG, have been in it since beta, went to the first League of Legends almost LAN event, to all of them now, been in it for 3 years. And then eHonda, as you mentioned, 3,330 normal game wins, doesn't play ranked, made a ranked team. They went 16-1, qualified for the online tournament, made it here. And yeah, those two guys could be in the same league.
And they are worlds apart right now.
Yeah.
Completely worlds apart. We don't know how on earth they're going to manage to find themselves into the Season 3, and how would they deal with the Season 3? How would you deal with it? How would you, knowing for a fact that you're going to come into this with just one weekend of your life, is going to change you, and basically you're going to get a paid salary as a player to play the game that you play anyway, because let's be frank, everybody plays this game that's here right now. They play it pretty much excessively, some might say. But yeah, I mean, how would that change you?
I'd love to hear the conversation for a lot of these guys who just kind of game in secret, especially like the late high schoolers or people still living at home, who are just like, even the first conversation, yeah, I'm going to LA. Who's paying for this? Like, do you know these people? That's actually something that I believe it was
some parents.
Yuzuki's parents were like, who's paying for this? Where are you going? Can you trust these people? And add on top of that, so I want to drop out of school because I have a salary job with a professional sponsor, and I want to live in LA and travel around. Like, what the? You talking about?
You gone mad? Yeah, I can see some parents out there right now going, "What?" And actually, to the point that even some of the interviews that we got to sit in on, the fact that some of them were like, "Yeah, kind of not mentioned it just yet to either my professors or my parents. We just snuck away, and if it happens, it's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
now I've got a legitimate thing that I can tell the parents." Yeah.
Yeah. So the teams that are going to be up next, though, FeaR and Good Game University, both just had incredibly stompy games. We will have to talk to Freak and Cobby later, but those were under 25 minutes for both of them, and they must look really confident. You can see FeaR right here. They're just talking about strategy. This is the team that they would have prepared for, though. These are the two strong teams in this group, FeaR and Good Game University, who used to be Team Dynamic, and it's going to be tough for them. There's actually an interesting story about the Good Game University support.
Oh, yes. Okay, yeah, the support. Obviously, they had that problem with Q8.
Right, so the thing with Team Dynamic is they were the youngest team in League of Legends. They had 15-year-olds, they had 16-year-olds. Zig used to be their mid laner. He left the team for other reasons, but Pixel, almost the youngest-looking guy that used to be on Team Dynamic, was 15, right? He couldn't play support. They had to pick up a new person for Season 3 because you have to be 17 to compete in the League Championship Series. And they're looking for a support. They're trying out Q8 and Ranked 5s. As a support. It's not his main role, so they weren't necessarily expecting too much, but they wanted to see if he could do it. They're just playing Ranked 5s, and they just play against this other guy who destroys them in lane. He just beats on Chu, crushes him in support, and they're just like, well, I guess Chu won't work out. What about that other guy?
What about that guy that just kicked their ass?
And that's the guy who's on their team now. I Am Anjo is on the team because he beat them when they were trying out a support. And then Mashme was just like, yeah, let's try him.
And that also shows that even the best AP mids, you know, Q8 is a very good player, very good top lane, very good AP mid, can't make it in support roles. You know, some people people like to belittle the support role, but it is a really tough position because you've got to be watching everything, you've got to be covering your lane, you've got to basically take the hit for the team because when things are going down, you're the one that wants to die and not the AD carry.
You have to do everything a normal person would, but without items.
And sacrifice everything, yeah, without items as well. And it's interesting because obviously we've got Team FeaR here, that Afromu has also gone to be the support in CLG. So an AD carry moving to the support role. So you could say that obviously he probably understands the role better than most.
That's been where most of the transitions to support have happened. If you transition to support, you normally transition from AD carry. But that doesn't always work out because you can think back to even a couple months ago, Loco Doko, who was one of the premier AD carries in Korea, went to CLG. Some people are going to crash on that, but he was a premier AD carry in Korea.
He was at the time.
He was at the top, and he went to support for CLG, and he just, you could see he did the sacrifice himself a little too often. He died a few too many times during those games, and it didn't work out. You can't just pick up support from any role. It's been proven that it's just as tough as all the other positions.
It is. It's certainly a tough position. And let's talk about the other positions across the teams. Obviously, we've had Epic. They've gone into the loser bracket. So I say loser bracket. It's the loser match, which is Tower Dive TV versus Epic Gaming. What are you expecting from that one?
The loser bracket game, I still got to hopefully give that to Epic, in all honesty. We didn't get to see how much Good Game University beat on them there, but
it was quick.
Team Tower Dive is much less known, but look at this. We're ready to go into our championship game here. Winner moves on.
Team FeaR versus Good Game University. Good Game University, formerly known as Team Dynamic. There is two members in there. You will recognize some of these names. So, Katarina banned by Team FeaR straight away. Pretty common ban lately.
It's been sneaking up there as a ban. A lot of people have actually done the tank Katarina in the top lane, which is just a weird thing to think about, but it works out. They go Magic Pen and then a Warmogs. Other than that, though, there's a lot of almost power bans that are out here. The patch they're playing on is actually the same patch that's on live right now, but it's had a long time to run, and with how many changes there were in Season 3, there's a few things that have kind of pointed out to teams and just been accepted. So it's like the Evelyn bans, and mainly the Evelyn bans are going to be happening, I think, every game.
And Kha'Zix. I was surprised that
Kha'Zix very frequently
was not banned in the last game, yet wasn't picked by anyone.
That is actually quite surprising as well. Maybe FeaR maybe Mandatory Cloud hasn't quite played as much Kha'Zix because it is a transition for some of those mid lane players switching to the ADs in mid. And look at how fast this is coming out. We're talking about Kha'Zix and they're halfway through.
They are going flying through the pick, so it's going to be Zyra and Ezreal. We're guessing there's going to be Zyra support down that bottom lane. Lulu, and you can see Elise being picked up there. This is what Dan Din talked about. I'm going to ban Elise against Nintendo Dex.
And it hasn't happened. And I don't know if Dan Din's going to get a chance to ban Elise against Nintendo Dex because if they...
Well, they lost.
Yeah,
So
well, they lost,
maybe
and
they
if
did ban
Good
it.
Game University
He pulled
makes it
something
through
else
here,
out. Wow.
they're completely
I
through.
would love to see a Ziggs, but... Oh my god, we are going to see a Ziggs. Yes!
Ha! So this is something that has made... He's creeping back into competitive play, in all honesty, because I think 5 teams picked him in the OGN League, which was like the first big tournament that was played on the Season 3 patch. And here we go again. Good Game University going in with this. That's an interesting thing, though. That Jace is probably going mid. They play them as a mage. They play him as a mage now.
Yes, and I can see what they're going to go with, yes, because there's going to be Rumble in the top lane. Rumble versus... Who will it be? Who will be the final top laner?
They're fast. Nidalee is something that Zion Spartan plays a bunch of, and just with the absolute speed that these picks and bans went through, these guys really prepped for each other, and there were no questions about that. That was the fastest pick bans I've seen in almost a year.
I mean, you mentioned it. This is the game that you expected these guys to prepare for. So what are you seeing in these picks and bans that they've prepared so heavily for?
I think the biggest thing here is the fact that they're running the Lulu just in their composition and all. It's something that the American teams hadn't picked up on a lot of before they started practicing a lot. And then Iamanjo is a Lulu main. That's one of the big reasons they would have picked him up here. Across the board on FeaR, I think the probable mid lane Jace is another big preparation thing. That's a new thing that they would have had to practice a lot of and get ready for. Comboing that with Rumble is an amazing poke composition, like outside of range.
So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. This is the big one. Who is going to be the first team to qualify through to the best of 3 stage, which will happen tomorrow? That's going to be really it. So really, these teams... They're just 3 matches of their lives away from qualifying for Season 3. COG, TSM, Dignitas. Big names, everybody knows them. They're already there. They qualified through the Season 2 regional qualifiers. They went to the World Championships. All of these teams sat and watched those World Championships, envious. Team FeaR were there at the Season 2 regionals.
They got motivated.
They would be the most motivated of anyone, but everybody that watched that tournament would be thinking, seeing that huge stage, seeing that orchestra, seeing Type A Assassins face Zubu Frost, and they'll be thinking, that could be us.
It could be. They just got to win 3 more games, right?
They just got to win 3 more games. There's a little bit more involved to get to that final world stage. Kind of like a lot of matches involved.
Maybe about 100
in Season
so.
3, yeah. So there's a lot involved in that. But ladies and gentlemen, we are going to get underway. It is Team FeaR versus the Good Game University. And here on your screens, as the blue team, it is Team FeaR and GGU, also known as Team Dynamic. You recognize Zion Spartan, Nintendo Dex. You probably recognize Nintendo Dex's parents from events, maybe even. But here we go, chat. What are we thinking? Level 1 fights. Are they going to go for it this time?
Just the fact that Zion Spartan is running out top lane by himself for Good Game University tells me that they're probably not going for any kind of aggressive invade. But on the other hand, FeaR, with 3 members running up top already, makes me think they're looking for something kind of tricky. They might run straight into that Nidalee trap, though. That was a good placement.
Very good placement. Straight away spotted, and they ping it immediately in the line. Yep, everybody's here because that trap would have given eyes on Zuna, which does mean that the possible invade on red is going to back away. Also, it means that Iamanjo's been given free reign to just stroll on in there and put a great ward on that bush.
He did get spotted, though, so they know he warded that spot. There's a preemptive ward placed by Team FeaR on that. And really, with all these openers now, no one's starting with boots anymore, in all honesty. That gives people a lot more room to buy wards, to buy more health potions, to get more sustain in lane, and it makes level 1s... I don't know if I've reached my conclusion whether it makes them more safe or more aggressive, because everyone's putting in deep warding positions. It really just creates a lot more knowledge on the map.
It also means it's going to be a slow motion escape. It's everyone just moving in slow motion, trying to escape the damage. But as it stands, there is nothing coming out from level 1 fights, and it is going to be Nintendo Dex starting off at the Wolves, as will Smithy. And, well, what are we going to see then? We're going to start to see the lanes balance themselves out. Both teams going to be picking up the blue buff, guessing for their jungler. I don't think they're going to do anything insane here. We have seen the golems, though, being picked up at the bottom. That is interesting for Season 3.
And right off the bat, it takes a bit more damage. You can already see that you glanced up top at Lulu and Graves. They were pretty low. Zyra and Ezreal did it with a bit less. Biggest story, though, is already 2v1 lanes for both of them. I think Nidalee for GGU, Zion Spartan has a much better chance of holding a 1v2 since he has the ranged auto attacks compared with Squid up top, who will have a lot more trouble against Lulu and Graves.
Yeah, and the fact that he'd already pushed the lane a little bit as well before they got there because they were on the golems, he'd obviously expected, because, of course, remember, the traps were being laid at the start. He thought it was going to be a top lane Nidalee.
That's honestly a pretty good mind game, the fact that he rushed up top, placed that trap, and then zipped back bottom. This is not a matchup that FeaR is going to be happy with. Lulu and Graves extremely good at pushing. They're going to look to take a turret extremely early up top.
And you can see also Zuna and Muffin Cutie completely zoning out here at Zion Spartan, but Zion Spartan, he's played a lot of Nidalee.
He has played almost more Nidalee than anyone, maybe even Hotshot at this point, because Hotshot's quit Nidalee long ago. Zion really, he either goes crazy on Nidalee or he seems a little bit ineffective. A lot of times going with that bruiser Nidalee will look to split push and create pressure all day.
So let's take a look at the middle lane. It is a pretty interesting one. It is Jace versus Ziggs. It's not something we've seen too often in tournaments.
I think this is mainly a shove lane. The big thing about this is Jace getting the Brutalizer and then they'll play him like a range caster. Really the entire reason to have Jace mid, attacks creeps from range, clears waves with Shock Blast. Then you poke. I think that's the whole shebang for him. Pretty good gank support, but Ziggs is pretty long range. I think that's mainly going to be a farm fest.
You can see it is a farm fest. We do see Nintendo X, and what a great route there, straight on towards Muffin Cutie. He's going to leap in, he's gone deep, he gets the first blood. Actually, it was, down the bottom, it was Zion Spartan that managed to catch it with a spear, I think, just towards the end. But that was a great gang.
The stun that he threw from behind the wall, out of vision, and then the jump afterwards, post-flash, that was just very well executed by Nintendo.
Yeah, Smithy's not really going to be able to try and follow up. They kind of knew that it was coming, tried to predict it to do a return gank on top. It didn't work for them, backed away too often, and you can also see Nintendo X just lingering in the distance in that mid lane, but I don't think he's going to go for it.
He was hoping that X-Smithy would arrive for a gank, but they just saw X-Smithy walk through a ward. This is potentially dangerous because Nintendo X will be there for a counter. If that stun would have landed, that would have meant trouble, but because it didn't, Smithy's going to walk away.
Didn't manage to land the route, the bombs just rattle on through, and they return to the bottom. So how is this going to convert the bottom lane? The fact that Zion Spartan just got that one kill.
So, with all of that, I don't think it's going to give him much yet. He didn't get a big level advantage. I still feel like he's going to be a slave to the 1v2. He's going to have to wait until he's level 6 before he can really make anything big happen. As it is now, the kill made it so his turret didn't take as much damage, but he's still in trouble.
Andrew taking a lot of damage as the Zion Spartan down the bottom lane. Can see Zuna coming in. Just one more hit. Will it be enough? Yes, it will. But it's Muffin Cutie that picked up the kill. That's disastrous.
Well, he had to take the kill. Look at all the damage Zuna was taking. One more attack from Zion Spartan, and that would have been a trade. So, getting the kill, I think, is great overall. Having it fall to Zyra, not ideal, but I think it's still alright.
He's still got the assist gold, so it still counts. We see a little bit of back and forth between Shipster and ManCloud. How is this going to balance through the levels here? I mean, we see Smithy down the bottom as well. He's pushing on. They're both trying to really shove the tower, but actually, Psycho Squid's really holding that top tower very well.
He's done a pretty good job up top, just keeping that Flame Spitter up and clearing away the waves. Turrets being even is a real surprise, in all honesty. I thought that turret would be much lower, and especially once Squid hits level 6, he's going to be able to ult to clear the waves, and he might just shut down this GGU push quite early.
So as we can see, a couple of teams, players going back to bite, boots for the middle, longsword for the middle actually, and the Dawn's Blade for Jace.
Yeah, Jace is not going to be needing boots anytime soon. He gets enough move speed from his acceleration gate, and he'll be able to just live off of Brutalizers, Black Cleavers, and Bloodthirsters for almost the entire game.
Okay, so what are we looking at? We've seen it pretty much even, 1-1. The gold is very much level. Across the board, who has benefited the most from these lane swaps?
I'd say 6 minutes in, it's a draw. I don't think they benefited from it at all. The fact that Nidalee was able to get a kill in a stronger lane, mainly due to a great Nintendo X gank, but then he went and flubbed his advantage. He pushed up too far and he gave it right back to the lane. So that was a pretty even trade, and the big amount of credit needs to go to Squid once again. His 2v1 He had to do this last game. He's used to it. He's fine with the pressure. This time it's an actual dedicated support, but he's doing better than he did last game.
He's had a jungler. He's had Shen and Xin Zhao. I mean, that's a pretty scary combo right there, sitting in his lane.
Might be scarier than Graves and Lulu, to be fair.
I think it would be, because if you get caught, you're pretty much in trouble. We're just sorting the key bindings of one of the players. That's all that was just being corrected. So we are back into the game. So not too sure which one it was, but I'm sure someone was using an excuse.
Got to keep the speed up in these games. Players have all saved and preloaded key bindings for these configures. It's a pretty cool system they have set up here. But small glitch. Now it's fixed. Everything's good to go.
Yeah, it just means they probably didn't preload their own settings. I don't know. There you can see Psycho Squid again, and just as you mentioned, that Flame Squid. Actually, that is a pretty low one in the middle there, but Mandatory Cloud getting caught a little bit, but not enough damage. Actually, we did just get a glimpse of that top lane, and that turret has been taken down pretty heavily.
About at a third, but now that Squid has level 6, he's going to be able to hold that turret for at least another couple minutes, I'd have to say, as long as he doesn't get too much gank pressure. Look at the damage he's able to kind of trade back onto a no-sustain lane with Lulu and Graves. He's going to be able to hold that for a while.
Nintendo Dex going around his business in the jungle. How do you compare these two junglers? As a jungler yourself, wow, a lot of damage going out towards Zion Spartan there, but Elise compared to Cho'Gath. Cho'Gath's kind of been a staple favorite for a while, but Elise we're starting to see come into it.
Cho'Gath is absolutely the staple. He brings, I'd say, more team fight utility. Cho'Gath would with his 3-second AoE silence, whereas Elise brings more aggressive ganks and potentially more just... It's mainly all about the ganks as far as Nintendo Dex jungle would go. And we have potential jungle ganks in both lanes, top and bottom here. It's just a matter of landing the right stun to get in.
Well, Jace just picks up the blue. He's backed away. Great route there from Muffin Cutie, just completely preventing any damage. And honestly, we're seeing the Shifter down here, and he's just wasting his time now because they're completely aware of the situation.
And we were talking with GGU's manager the other day, actually, and he was really surprised when Zig left. Oh, there's a gank top.
The ultimate down used up the top there. Does manage to get the slow, the route down onto Anjo. Dodges the rumble nicely. Puts the exhaust down on Smithy, but isn't going to be enough. He's trying to turn it around. Anjo is definitely going to go down. Psycho Squid picking up the kill there. And Don't Match Me just avoiding the damage. And that's exactly what we talked about with the supports earlier on. That's the sacrifice he had to make.
And it's the turn that Squid was able to create there. They tried too hard to finish off that turret, and they got punished for it. Squid, exquisite skill there in the top lane. Rumble's not a good 1v2 laner, but he is making the most of this lane. Eventually that turret's going to fall, but he's really made it last with that Rumble ult.
And he's actually out CSing Zion Spartan down the bottom as well on Nidalee. He's got 10 CS extra, obviously benefiting from that. Picking up the gold, you can see the gold advantage, just 100 difference between the two. Actually, it's about a 50 there. Nintendo Dex just had a little sniff there. Smithy thought about going for it, but ended up backing away.
And just to get back to the mid lane here, Shifter is someone who was not on a team for a really long time. And when we were talking to his manager, and even everyone else on the team just said, how is this guy not on a team yet? He is a really good mechanical player, and he plays everything. So really new to the competitive scene, even though it's a known team. Let's see how he does in this game up against the just bombing Ziggs.
Yeah, ManCloud, a man of experience, has been around many tournaments. Oh, and they're doing dive towards Muffy Cutie. He's going to use his ultimate. He's going to turn around, but I think the Ignite is enough. Really nicely played.
So this is just kind of counterintuitive to what we see normally. The 1v2 lane should be the one getting killed, but in both instances, it's been the team with the one in the 1v2 lanes that gets the aggression.
So 2-1-0 for Zion Spartan, playing very nicely. Has fell behind in the CS compared to his compatriot at the top there, Psycho Squid. But we are seeing a potential move for Dragon here.
With the kill that they were just able to get onto Zyra, if they go fast, they'll be able to get it. The great thing about Jungle Elise, though, is if he does it right, you can see he's not taking damage from the Dragon. It's hitting his Spiderlings. Great Dragon tank, can do this extremely safely. No one is wise to this. It looks like GGU is going to be able to pick up this Dragon.
He's going to pick it up. You can see Smithy's just coming around, but it's going to be too little too late. And there is GGU picking up the first Dragon of the game. And that is going to give them that gold advantage of around about 1,000.
With that, it's time for them to call the full lane swap. It looks like they'd been able to push the turret in the top lane, so Squid has lost it. At this point, they say, let's try to push the turret in the bottom lane. Let's get those guys out of there. Let's keep farming bot lane. See how that works out for them.
So they did just about manage to keep it. And here we are. Placement, they've only just joined the lane. Surely could catch him out. Anjo's going to be the one that gets caught. There goes the silence. The Rupture gets on him. They want to try and turn it into a 2. Lulu ultimate is not going to be enough. And that is I Am Anjo getting dropped again.
Ooh, just unfortunate timing. I Am Anjo, I believe, had some wards there, but they didn't expect the gank to arrive so perfectly, in a sense. They thought they'd surprise him with a lane swap. They didn't expect a gank to be planned for a Nidalee to be in that lane because the Nidalee wouldn't be pushing. It was just a huge combination of things happening at the wrong time. And you know, FeaR did a great job capitalizing on it.
They're trying to turn the pressure on towards the turret. Have they stuck around a little bit too long? Nintendo Dex is going to come in. He does manage to catch down on towards Zuna, but it just backs away. And it's more just keeping the pressure, keeping the turret safe. We do also see in the top lane, actually, Zion Spartan's getting a bit creative here with Psycho Squid, starting to push that lane pretty heavily.
He's going to try, but he has to make sure to stay extremely safe. He's behind on items if you look at this. He's got the Kindle Gem on Nidalee versus the Haunting Guys and the Cloth Armor from Rumble. Even in the gold, because of the kills, he's up about 300.
Does he want to fight this?
He does want to fight. I don't think he'd win if he tried to brawl Squid right now.
Because he's already got the Haunting Guys, like you mentioned. He's got that power, that potential to go 1v1, especially in Cougar form. And yeah, he's just going to back away. I'm not too sure. I think he was thinking about it, maybe a surprise gank. He just thought, no, I'm not too sure. Just looking at his items, don't fancy this one.
Sign of that. Kind of that faint aggression you jump in on someone with. You hop on them, they think there's more people there, and you might get some free trading. I think that's all that was good for.
Trying to get the surprise, and well, they will get a surprise because Nintendo Dex is creeping in towards that top.
Yeah.
Maybe trying to bait him in a little bit here. Remember, like you mentioned, yeah, that's exactly what Zion Spartan's doing.
He's just going to wait for that one creep to die so he can go to the next upper brush. He's going to hope that Squid gets a little confident here and pushes the minions. Then he's going to decide to pounce for a gank. They lost the bottom turret. He's actually just running straight out.
Yeah, he's not having any of this. He's not going to catch it. Dodges out of the web. And he will back away. So very much cleverly avoiding the damage. So 3-2. 2 kills currently. 1 turret apiece. That's the top turret and the bottom turret taken down by both duo lanes. 17.2k to 16.8k. Very close in gold. And we are seeing Shifter now making a move for the blue buff.
This could be the first big engagement we see of the game. ManCloud actually jumping over to realize that there's 3 members there getting poked back. Everyone trying to run up now. If Ezreal and Zyra can get here, they'll protect the blue, but it's been... Where'd it go? Oh, there it is.
Yeah, they had to back away from this one. You do see Elise sticking around, but they realize there's 5 members of Team FeaR up here because they are down the bottom. And you can see Zuna actually trying to catch out Zion Spartan. Gets us a beautiful root on him, and Zuna putting a lot more damage on. That's going to force Zion Spartan away. Meanwhile, Nintendo Dex getting forced away. He tried to sneak in and smite that blue, but they're just beating him away. Don't mash me, though. They are working this turret down. Is it going to be enough? You can see that True Shot Barrage just whispering past, and they are going to keep on it. Still, the blue buff looks like it's finally gone across the mandatory cloud.
Really got to see how this develops because even with the Dragon, Good Game University is still down in overall gold. That really shows how much they've been getting just totally out-farmed in lanes. The fact that the 750 gold, sorry, not 750, the large amount of gold you get from the Dragon isn't paying off for them quite yet because they're still down.
So let's take a look across the items, chat. What are we seeing developing here? You can see that Brutalizer that you mentioned. Oh, that's going to be the ultimate use, and Ziggs just has to use the explosion. Is it going to be enough? Flashes away as well. The Ignite's on him, but he will escape hit. Oh, ManCloud nearly got him there.
Bit of mobility from Shifter there. The big item build thing I'd have to say is the Tear of the Goddess on ManCloud's Jace, really showing he's not your regular top lane Jace that jumps on people off, and he's really just about that range nuke. They're comboing that with Rumble's ultimate, like you just saw there, to try to create pressure throughout the map. That's going to be in contrast to Zion Spartan's just straight up Nidalee split push. He's going all annoyance. Kindle Gem, Negatron Cloak, and a Doran Shield. It's just, he's not looking to kill anyone with that. He's just looking to distract, trying to keep Rumble and Jace away from each other.
A great turnaround there by FeaR as well, realizing that they've just put the pressure. Zion Spartan had to go back. They just thought, we've just pressured the mid lane, let's steal that blue. And they were straight on it. Considering they just had so much pressure on their own blue, they just reacted very well. Almost like a fighter, just countering each other's moves. And as it stands, Jat, we're just approaching 20k across the board, both teams. How are you leveling these teams out if we were to go into a 5v5 team fight right now?
It would all depend on the pre-fight, because if they could land a few shock blasts before they went in, FeaR would have a huge advantage. The Rumble ult could come in and finish everyone out, the Zyra ult would have good zone control, but if the fight happens just straight up, Ziggs ults in as Lulu ults probably an Elise that would be in there to pop things up, I think GGU would have it. So it's all about the pre-fight. Straight up brawling goes to GGU. Long poke fest, go to FeaR.
Let's see how that poke fest continues. You can see the water bombs of Ziggs. Pool party Ziggs, of course, in the mid lane. Continuing to put the pressure down. Zig's definitely one of my favorites. I like Zig. He's good. He's a good poker, and he's continuing to poke. Zion Spartan, meanwhile, continues to keep the pressure down. They realize he's just trapped up the blue. They pinged down on there. Elise was lingering off in the mid lane, but Mandatory Cloud's not falling for this one. And they may get a bit of pressure on towards that mid turret. As you can see, red buff going to go to Zuna. They're going to work it way back down towards that bottom as well. And all the lanes, slowly but surely, grinding them down. They're happy to keep this turret up down the bottom.
I think they were mainly worried about the double buff Zuna that would come in and potentially truck them down. What GGU is trying to do here is you could see the whole map pressure was on their side. They were pushing every lane at the same time, and FeaR was unable to punish. If they could continue to do things like that, eventually the pressure would boil over and they'd be able to take the game. But they've now fallen back. They went to shop, and at a terrible time, because it looks like FeaR is going to be able to take this dragon away, tying the Dragons up 1-1.
Yeah, very well timed by FeaR there. They do pick it up. Nom 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 nom. Gentleman Cho'Gath noms it away. Actually, I don't think he's on Gentleman.
Regular Cho'Gath.
He's on regular Cho'Gath. Disappointing. But the blue buff is up. It's looking like Nintendo Dex is just lingering there. Actually, I don't think it is up. No, it isn't. He's just happened to be there and teleporting away. Thought about trying to go for the dragon instead. So, 23,000 to 22. Still very much even between these teams. How are we going to split this one, Jack? This is going to come down to surely a big fight.
It's really going to be a lot of poke that's going to come down at one point with FeaR, and then it'll be about GGU's ability to get on that. The other thing is, poke teams want to be together as 5. Nidalee teams, which GGU has with Zion Spartan, don't want to be together as 5. So it's going to be a lot of kind of split pushing, poking at turrets, and then attempts at hard engages by GGU. Looking at the compositions, though, and the way this is shaking out, it's going to be difficult for GGU to get onto something. They're going to try to win something here because they have to get a bit of an edge to prevent those things from happening. Intended gank bottom fails.
Yeah, ping straight away. That was clever play there from Muffin Cutie. Just quickly pinging, getting a vision onto there, trying to pop out the web, but it's not going to be enough. Nintendo Dex has to back away from the gank at that bottom lane. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, you can see Smithy also trying to come around. Will he be able to catch on towards Shifter? Shifter launches himself, but there's the silence. The Rupture is going to land. They might have enough damage here. He's going to pop his ultimate out. He's trying his best to get away from this one with the Ignite, and there is Mandatory Cloud picking up the kill. At least tried to come in to help out, but was not enough. Great gank.
The biggest thing that happened there is Ziggs burned his escape before Cho'Gath got to use his crowd control. Once the Rupture landed, it was just lights out for Ziggs. They're going to get that turret right off that.
Straight away, Nintendo Dex can't manage to keep them back, so that is a turret advantage for FeaR right now. And that was the turnaround possibly they needed. Can they snowball it from here? It's giving them around about a 3k gold lead. The top lane just keep going back and forward between the two. You can see Squid. He's actually started to force him out a little bit here. He's got that giant spot. He's got a lot more health and the Sorcerer's Boots.
It's interesting that Squid just hasn't been able to push up that much. Zion Spartan keeping it on, despite just being an entirely full tank, trying to get ready to be able to brawl him, but just the overall pressure they're trading farm there. Not much happening.
So as it stands, it's very close between these two. And honestly, 2.5k or 3k gold difference is not that big a deal. It's around about 10% between the two teams, but it's not that great big a deal. It is going to mean a couple of major items starting to get completed, certainly the AD carries.
It's going to be a lot of that item going into auras too. You can see a Runic Forward being completed on an X-Smithy, whereas Nintendo Dex is going for a Magic Pen build. So even though it's 3,000 gold, the effectiveness of the auras in team fights is going to be huge. As they
stole it. ManCloud got it. And then you can see Smithy with his own one as well.
Yeah.
So they don't know which one actually managed to get the steal. One of them did.
It was a smite from Cho'Gath that got the steal. And that's going to be actually pretty big for them, having the double blue buffs with the extended poke. This is what they're going to try to do. Here's the moment we've been waiting for. This could be a very long poking engagement as they just shock blast from behind this wall and try to poke people down.
Oh, and they do manage to catch it, along with a Rupture and a Silence, and immediately having to E away from that one, trying to avoid the damage. Bottom turret went down just a moment ago. That's even two. It's up 2-2. But as you mentioned, this is the siege that's going to continue. How are they going to break this sort of siege mentality? Ziggs is going to have to keep throwing the bombs out, but that's really all they've got.
And this is one of the reasons that blue steal was so big, because almost indefinitely Ziggs would be able to clear the waves back as they get poked down and they wouldn't get damage on the turret. But without the blue buff, he's eventually going to run out of mana, and they will have to fall back and give this turret up because the minions are giving them extended time on that tower. They're going to get it right now.
Straight away, got straight on there. Can they turn anything from this one? The ultimate comes out, but doesn't really do a great deal of damage. And you can see Nintendo Dex, he wants to get a pick of something. He hasn't quite got his weapon available at the moment. You can see ManCloud puts that acceleration gate, and everybody just zips away from the danger.
And look at the AD carry builds, as you pointed out earlier. They're pretty much identical. They're both going for Bloodthirst or Static Shiv, and they're both going to be able to dash around a bit and kind of duel each other, so there's not much difference there. The difference is in the jungle choice and the aura items as they get poked down a bit mid.
Zuna got caught out there, had to cleanse away from that one, so that's not going to be available for a while. Meanwhile, the top laners continue to juke it out. They've been there the entire time, just back and forward, back and forward. So if this is going to continue, how do you measure these two as a 4v4?
As a 4v4, I do give the edge to FeaR, actually. Zyra's going to be able to give the disengage. ManCloud's going to be able to give the acceleration gate disengage. It's just, I don't see a way that GGU can actually get in and fight FeaR. I feel like FeaR's just going to be able to walk away almost whenever they want. This is what happened with the poke comps we saw during even the World Championships, is that Jace gate, especially with blue buff, was enough to just get out of there in almost all situations. And you add to that the pass-through route from Muffin Cutie Zyra, the rupture that people are going to be walking in through from X-Smithy's Cho'Gath. It's going to be very difficult for GGU to get anything happening.
Okay, something just happened there. Don't Match Me gave the red buff across the Zion Spartan. So the red buff is, how is that going to help pushing Squid? Is that going to be enough?
That's them saying they're definitely losing the 4v4, and you need to help us, Zion Spartan. You need to distract 2 people so we don't have to 4v4. They're going to try to make that red buff count. They're going to try to let that kill Squid in that split push. I don't know if it's going to be enough, though. Squid with the Rylai Scepter might be able to disengage Zion Spartan as well. They got that dragon timed just right, too.
Yeah, they are not anywhere near it at the moment. So, Game University going to let this one slide. FeaR will pick up the second dragon for themselves, which is going to extend that gold lead to around about 4,000. Let's see. As it stands, are they going to catch out there? They're pushing in towards the mid. Are they going to come across the side? Will they collapse around? And they realize that Ezreal is not there. Psycho Squid has to use his ultimate there. Catches a lot of damage on towards Nintendo Dex. Flashes for it, in fact. He's going to drop down onto them. Does flash through. And that's... Oh, Smithy's gone deep. Smithy's gone very deep. And he catches 3 people with a Rupture. Beautiful Rupture. The Zyra ultimate's going to catch 3 members as well. I Am Anjo who's going to get called out as well. Nintendo Dex already gone down with the damage coming out from Don't Match Me. Is he going to turn it around? No. Soon as joined the fight. Ziggs is trying to put as much down as he can. He did manage to get Mandatory Cloud. They're going to flash through, and Smithy will avoid the damage. All members very, very low.
And Zion Spartan is behind them, trying to poke down with spears. He might go in.
The spear lands on Smithy, not quite enough. He dives through. He's going to get caught out. He's going to have to jump away from this one, but he may pay for him with his life. He went too aggressive, and the rest of the team couldn't get around to help out.
This was just the explosion of split pushing coming in with engagement. They forced them into some action because Zuna was up top trying to push when Zion Spartan on Nidalee was down bottom trying to push the opposite side for Good Game University, and everyone just converged behind each other. They landed the right skill shots, created chaos, and when all that's over, it happened so long people have respawned. I think that was a 2 for 2. Something?
I don't know.
Looking at the goal, it looks like GGU came out of that slightly on top.
Smithy went down. Mandatory Cloud definitely went down. Nobody else for them. Zion Spartan definitely went down. Nintendo Dex definitely went down. Did Anjo go down? No, Anjo survived.
No.
So it was a 2 for 2.
Perfect.
Very close stuff there. Mandatory Cloud's going to pick up his blue buff. And well, it just showed that actually over an extended fight, it's still pretty close between these two.
The damage and spam that came out from Shifter Ziggs was huge. Like when ManCloud jumped in to follow up off of the Rupture and the Zyra ulti, he did not expect to get blown up that fast. That was really what turned it around. Don't Match Me comboing with Ziggs' damage was what turned that fight. They have to be very careful of that when they go in.
Okay, so we're looking across. Zion Spartan now completed the Iceborne Gauntlet's Void Staff, Ryla's Staff, sorry, completed also by Squid. And Squid has actually joined the team now. So he's like, we don't care about your split push. Zion Spartan is completely down the bottom lane, continuing to push. Will they be able to get this in Imsa?
It's 5v4. This is going to be a very tough hold. You can see Zion Spartan's thinking twice about going in, trying to hold his vision. He's going to keep this split push up, so they have to be able to hold this turret. 5v4. They have a very limited window for this if they want to go back and stop Nidalee split push.
Nidalee split push continuing down the bottom. Anjo did get caught out by the True Shot barrage there, but he has back to base now. Shifter taking a bit of damage as well. They're continuing to poke back and forward. And you see I Am Anjo now returning back. Is it enough? Let's have a look at that bottom turret. You can see it's still, oh, that's going to go down. But the question is, will they lose its inhibitor? They are keeping the poke down. Is it going to be enough? Zion Spartan's trying to get in there. They're trying to do the damage. They're trying to put the plants down, but still can't manage to get it. They've got a siege minion and they're going to go in. Is it going to be enough?
That siege minion disappeared almost immediately. They now have the 4v4 that they still have a bit of an advantage in. You can see Squid getting poked down a lot by Zion Spartan. That build for him is enough kind of slightly poke damage to keep him going. This is going to be really, really telling whether GGU decides to go in or the Rumble ult. Squid's in trouble. They might have to send a second back to help him.
Oh, we just saw also the Ziggs ult coming out there. That just hit down the backside. They didn't quite catch it. They thought they managed to fight some away there. Didn't manage to catch the root either. And they're just going to back off. Oh, wow. You just see how strong Mandatory Cloud is. Everyone zipping around with that acceleration gate. Mandatory Cloud keeping the poke down, keeping them back. But is it enough? I don't know if they can sustain this.
And also, down bottom, Zion Spartan finally ran out of mana, so he's going to have to go back, and they will have repelled this push. The sustained damage from ManCloud with that Myrrh mana and the blue buff is keeping the poke going crazy. Looks like the tides have finally turned a bit for FeaR's poke. You know, their 4v4 is beating out Rumble and Nidalee's. They might try to persist this and get that turret down.
Well, they managed to lose that top turret to minions, so that does make it 4-5 in terms of turrets. Still very even between these two. Just 3,000 gold splitting the team, 7-4 in kills, 27 minutes gone in the game.
And there'll be a slight window here. They don't know exactly when Zion Spartan went back to base, so there will be 5 members of GGU before there's 5 members of FeaR. If they decide to push up and poke that turret again, they might risk getting engaged upon. We'll see if they proceed with more caution since they do not have eyes on Zion Spartan.
We've just seen Psycho Squid actually, he's been laying out a little bit of a trap. Now, Keep Story's got it clear. We have a big wave up the top here. They may be able to get this one down in time. We can see Muffin Cuties coming around. He's also got, oh no, he won't, because there's the Ziggs ultimate completely wiping out the wave. It's like, you want this turret, you're going to have to tank it.
And it looks like they're pretty happy tanking it, in all honesty. They got most of that turret, and they finish it off straight away. Again, though, Zion Spartan back in the bottom with full mana. It's like a reset of what we just saw. They traded second-tier turrets almost within the last 2 engagements. Here we go again.
Squid's heading back. He's going to just instead go back. In fact, they've all backed off now, so he's realized that Zion Spartan's instead going, fine, I'll take away the red buff. So, how is this split buff mechanic working out? Is GGU gaining an advantage from this?
It doesn't seem like it. It doesn't seem like Zion Spartan is making enough headway. It took him too long to harass down Squid. It ran out his entire mana pool, and then he didn't get much damage on that bottom turret. Still at about 2/3. The bottom inhibitor turret for FeaR is not quite there. Now the Baron buff is up. Maybe they're going to start doing that because even the base turrets for GGU aren't going down that fast. FeaR's probably going to continue their 4-man assault because it has been working out for him, but just barely.
Don't mash me, nearly getting caught out in that mid lane. Well, look at the bottom lane. Look at that. Zion Spartan and Psycho Squid once again going at it. Baron buff is available. Baron buff? I suppose the buff is technically available.
Buff's available.
You kind of have to kill the Baron to get that buff, though. It's a small issue. As it stands, the dragon is now up, which is where you can see FeaR are heading. And this would be their 3rd dragon of the game. And really, GGU have not contested this at all. Would this be the one?
Aside from the first dragon they got, they've been giving them all up. And when you go in with Nidalee, like, the team fighting difference between Rumble and Nidalee is vast. If there's any kind of 5v5 that FeaR can handle, they're going to go for it. And they're trying to get engaged, trying to poke back off each other. Every 5v5 is advantage of FeaR right now.
They're going for it. They're going to try and catch them out, but you can see the bombs coming down. Is it enough? They've tried to catch them out. They've separated them. Is it going to be enough to get up towards the turret? No. The Zyra ultimate just keeping them at bay. They tried to keep them away from the turret, but again, down the bottom, Zion Spartan is back on that turret. They're trading back and forth, but finally they get the inhibitor down. They're completely caught out of position.
They couldn't make it back to their base. They got cut out just right by FeaR, but still, they're holding them back from getting that inhibitor. It is the slow burn to get through all of these turrets. They're now taking a bit of harass. You can see everyone on FeaR a little bit low as they try to steal this blue buff. GGU might want to fight them here because they're not really in the best of positions if they can get in the gauge.
Oh, ManCloud actually thumping the blue buff through the tree line there. Didn't manage to catch it, and there's Nintendo Dex, he's got it. He's trying to tank the damage up. Zion Spartan's heading them off as well. Down the bottom, the pings are coming down furiously. It's got 4v5, it's a 5v5 now, but they can't catch up with him. As you said, the acceleration gate too strong.
Even with Zion Spartan flanking around the back with the persistent slows from his Iceborne gauntlets, couldn't do it. They just managed to get away. They could not close the gap. It might be time for a bit of panic here. They know a couple people on FeaR are shopping back. They're going to try to steal a blue buff of their own and continue this engagement.
Well, heading round to the blue. We can see Zuna's around there. Smithy comes in, Squid and ManCloud. It's only
ouch
support down there, and that True Shot barrage catching them all combined with the Rumble Ultimate could be enough. The Lulu Ultimate, Nintendo Dex is low. Zuna just wants to get it. He's flashed in there. Can he catch up to Sword Shifter? Shifter's surely low. One goes down. That's going to be Shifter. There goes Don't Match Me. And wow, that is the 280 carries. Surely can turn and burn onto Baron.
That was an amazing rumble off by Squid as Zion Spartan chasing around the back trying to get Muffin Cutie. They're going straight for this Baron. They don't really care about Muffin Cutie fighting with Zion Spartan, aside from the fact that he's given him that free Baron.
He's absolutely keeping him away as well. He's bullying Muffin Cutie. He realizes obviously because he had no mana. Nintendo Dex wants to try and get in the steal, but instead pays for it with life. He gets shouted down by Smithy, and that is going to be the Baron for Team FeaR.
That all was after the rumble ult. You knew the GGU recognized the split push wasn't quite working. As Zion Spartan goes and split pushes
This will work.
We'll get it eventually, but it might not. He's not going to get the inhib. He got the turret. They're going to have to continue to try to do this, but that was their moment of trying to make something bigger happen, and they got caught in the jungle in the perfect corridor for Squid's rumble ult, and it was just over from that ult. It was incredibly placed. Taking the Baron buff after that. Now it's on FeaR to try to push up the mid.
Yeah, they just simply got caught out nicely in a line. I mean, it was a brilliant ult. Brilliant combined two ults, in fact. The whole team sat on top of each other. So, 10-4 in kills, 6-6 even in turrets. Both got an exposed inhibitor. The question is, can they get pushing with this Baron buff? You can see they're going to try and go for the bottom inner turret by the looks of it. That's the one they want to work on.
Getting some pretty big items coming through as well. Last Whisper being completed on both 80 carries. That now 6,500 gold advantage, about to become 7,500 as they take this dragon. Gotta say, Jace's items are looking very scary. ManCloud 423 attack damage with the Baron buff and Red Elixir going on top of that. That means his Shock Blast is going to be doing about 1 million damage, if my math is correct.
1 million damage, that's exactly how much it is. Zuna, well, you can see, just cleaning out that Static Shift. Static Shift, like you said, mentioned, it is sort of being picked more than Phantom Dancer these days.
It seems like it's growing that way. It has roughly to slightly less damage in straight up fights, but the fact that it can help AoE clear waves with that static proc really helps champions like Ezreal. Don't really know if it's the best choice on Graves, but definitely on something like Ezreal.
Zeke's taking a full blast to the face there. Shifter will not be too good about that one. And they are going to continue to try. This time it's a 5v5 straight up standoff with the Baron. Zuna taking a lot of damage there. You see that spear just flashing past the screen. Didn't quite manage to catch on though. Don't Match Me also taking damage. The spears are going to come out, but they're not doing. It's not an AP Nidalee. It's not going to be crazy hit spears, but it's still enough.
They're little bits of poke. I'm really amazed at how much lifesteal Gosu Zuna's already gotten back. He's taken a lot of poke, but with the Baron regen and his gratuitous amounts of lifesteal he has from that Bloodthirster, it's a lot of poke. I don't see GGU being able to hold this. They might get dove pretty soon. Not quite enough.
Not quite enough. Can they turn it around? Nintendo's had to back away. He got taken down very low. They're still slowly but surely chipping away on that turret, and they are taking it down 35 minutes into this game, chat. Is there a great deal that GGU can do to come back from this one?
They gotta land the right stun on the right person. If Nintendo Dex could somehow get something onto Ezreal, but he's getting feasted by Cho'Gath. And
bam! There you go, hits it. Actually, it was the Rumble ult that stole it. They both went for a True Shot Barrage as well. That's going to be the second inhibitor, the first inhibitor of the game, sorry. Second one is exposed. Will they continue on? No. They're going to play it safe. They're going to back away. Wise choice.
That's one thing people don't realize about the Rumble ult. It feels like it's damage over time, like it has to fall down. If you click it on a guy, it hits right away. Like, that damage comes immediately. That was nothing Nintendo could do to react to that Rumble ult getting placed right on his face from about 2,000 units away. They're going for that second inhib. There's nothing to stop this because that Baron buff is keeping them all healthy.
Yeah, Don't Match Me is a long way away. He's actually trying to get red buff instead, while the rest of FeaR, he thought they'd all gone back, but instead they delayed, came around, still with the Baron buff, the regen on, the damage on. They are going to pick it up. No, well, you can see the Zig's ultimate. Is it going to be enough? Oh, collateral damage straight off across Muffin Cutie. But that doesn't matter. The rest of the team, well, Zion Spartan's trying to catch the Iceborne Gauntlet, trying to get a spear, but he's landing on Smithy, the last target you want to slow.
You're not going to be able to catch that giant monster with a Frozen Fist, especially when he gets assistance from the acceleration gate. They lost Muffin Cutie, but they got the second inhibitor. At this point, they still, how much time do they have left on this Baron buff? They got, it's gone. All right, Baron buff is over, but they got a lot with it. I feel like they're fully in the driver's seat at this point.
Yeah, double inhibs down, 8 to 6 in turrets, but more importantly, there's inhibs. There's not a great deal done. The gamble has backfired. Zion Spartan's split push in Italy has not worked out too well for them. And now you can see slowly but surely, just look at the items that Psycho Squid has got. It's his second game running. He's been pushed up against it and came back.
You look at the gold, he's outpacing Zion Spartan by about 200. They weren't really laning against each other at the start. For the past 20 minutes, they've been laning right against each other. The Twin Shadows is an interesting choice. They might use that to kind of get an extended initiation out. If they Twin Shadows, it'll slow 2 targets, which will allow ManCloud to land that million damage Shock Blast on people. And they're going right for that third turret. GGU is going to have a member clearing super minions at their base, so it's going to be a 5v4 for them. And there's no way Zion Spartan can effectively split push with this much pressure on their base. They're pretty much in a lot of trouble right now.
Yeah, you can see actually, I am Andrew picking up an Oracle's Elixir there. Does surprise me considering they're pretty much compressed in their base.
I don't see, I mean, they have to pretty much go for Elixirs right now. GGU needs to go all out. They have to fight here, in all honesty. They have to find a fight because the way the poke happens, they're just done for. And look at the poke!
Anjo just getting absolutely shredded there. And well, they realize Nintendo Deck's taking down very low. He gets dropped by Squid, and they are just pushing straight through. But Squid may go down himself. He will, but it's to the detriment of Don't Mash Me. He goes down. That's going to be the inhibitor turret dropped, and now there's just the last inhibitor completely exposed, and FeaR just pushing home to try and take home the win here. This would be a 2-0 victory for FeaR. They would go straight through into a great position to try and make their way into Season 3. It was expected, Jat, but you're never too sure.
They might not be able to finish it on this push alone. It's gonna, maybe.
Nope.
Maybe Don't Mash Me will die.
Don't Mash Me getting caught out. I Am Anjo also dropped as well. There's going to be Shifter bouncing around the map, trying to escape it. Well, a flash from Smithy. He wants to finish it here and now. One more hit. Muffin Cutie Pie is just going to say, whoop. Oh, no, he dodged it. He dodged it. And why? Sorry, Muffin Cutie, that I do keep calling you Muffin Cutie Pie. You do not have the... Actually, he does have long hair as well, doesn't he, to be fair? Oh, there's going to be a jump. Muffin Cutie is going to go down. That's an Oracle burn. Can he get on towards Smithy? The passive's going to come around, tries to snipe out someone. But they do hold on.
Just by barely.
I don't think they're going to do it in a Super Blaze here.
3 inhibitors down. They're down 9,000 gold, but the thing is they've been losing the most of their team fights. And actually, they're hoping on a Zubu Blaze right now. That's what Nintendo Dex is going for. Everyone trying to hold. They got the home guard boots. They're trying to do it. I don't see it happening though. 3 waves of super minions and a Baron buff just spawned. This is where FeaR, we saw last game, they took it real slow. They're probably going to get this Baron buff. Everyone's going to be having the elixirs, all the extra items. Look at Jace. I just want to see 461 AD for the Baron buff. Maybe they're going to get this Baron for sure.
So what do you think of that build then?
I like it. I like that build a lot. The Myr mana is huge amounts of damage when he gets the triple hits in with Hypercharge. He's going straight AD, now with 500 of it. He has incredibly generous AD ratios. I think it's a 1.7 when he puts his Q through his Shock Blast. Amazing poke. The only thing you might want to do instead of that second Bloodthirster would be an Infinity Edge, because if you ever get a chance to triple hit a Hypercharge, you can crit for like 1400 because it amplifies twice. Other than that, though, it's pretty much the perfect mid-Jace build.
You're pretty sure you're going to kill the target, that's for sure. There's not many people that can take that sort of damage sustain. And here we go, you can see the waves. This is where Azubu Frost messed up. They didn't wait for the 3 waves of super minions to all pile in, but FeaR are doing just that. They are completely relaxed. They're taking their time. This is their second win of the day, and honestly, it's got to feel good for them. And you can see Nintendo Dex goes in, but he goes too deep. Muffin Cutie did get taken down by Don't Mash Me, though, off at the side there. But as it stands, Jan, I don't think there's a lot they can do about this.
They traded the support for a jungler. Here come a whole heap of super minions. They take down the third inhib once again to make sure it's cycled. The poke's coming down, and look at that inhib. Here it goes.
The rumble comes through. That's going to be the Nexus down. And Team FeaR take victory. And that has got to feel good. They are just one step away. One best of 3. That's all it is now. And they are in Season 3. They are secured. And honestly, second favorites, I guess, from this tournament. Certainly favorites for this group. And it has played out exactly as we expected. So, Good Game University. They have one more match to go. Can they win it? Team Tower Dive TV versus Epic still going on. But Jat, take us through just this game that we've just seen. What do we break down from that? What do we see from GGU and what do we see from FeaR?
I think mainly for FeaR, their experience shown through. And surprisingly, Psycho Sid, or Squid, which his name is in this tournament, he was Psycho Sid before he changed his name. I think he was the star of those games. He was 1v2 up against it both times and then made huge impacts in team fights. I think that's really what swung it in both games, the experience. And also, Gosu Zuna going to AD after Aframu leaves. He used to be their top laner. Really adapting well to that lane. He did amazingly well. I gotta say, FeaR showed their experience, and GGU showed a little bit of nerves and didn't quite have the team comp set down.
So we have a replay for you guys. It's going to be towards the end of the game as FeaR start to drive home their advantage. Let's take a look at it on the screen. Oh, or not.
Maybe not.
I was baited into that one.
Oh,
I was baited into that one. But nevertheless,
Yeah.
Team FeaR.
Team FeaR through. You can see those guys. They were relieved after that one. It's so much pressure coming in here. They were a top seed. Like, them and Curse are the two teams that qualified from the North American regionals. They're head of the bunch. They're the ones that should, by all intents and purposes, make it through.
And more importantly, they've had a really vital change just in the last couple of weeks with Aframu. I mean, they've had to adjust so well to this one. Zuna coming down to AD, and you know it's worked out fine for them.
Yeah, it's a theory from another sport. You're going to lose this one.
Okay, it's just going to
lose
it's American reference coming
It's
up.
American reference. It's called the Ewing theory from the New York Knicks. When a team loses a star player, sometimes it allows all the other players to rise up and shine. And that could be what happens with FeaR here, because all the attention for everyone on FeaR is like, Aframu, Aframu, Aframu. He took the spotlight away from everyone else. He didn't allow the other players to even feel, I mean, it wasn't him. It was the community doing it to them, but they didn't allow the other players to feel like stars. Now that it's gone, it's like, holy crap, Mandatory Cloud, holy crap, Psycho Squid did amazing things in that top lane. And even though you had Zuna going 4-1 and 8, it was the whole team. So...
yeah, I mean, fantastic stuff there, but we do have a close match going on right now on stream too. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's check it out. It is going to be Epic Gaming versus Team Tower Dive. Let's take it over to Freak and Kobe24.
Purchase.